Hello and welcome. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. While people are joining, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what you can expect. So, expect to be on around 60 minutes. I am going to stay on for as long as possible and I'm going to answer questions at the end. Now, there's a Q&A box. Put your questions in that box. It's completely anonymous. Only I will see them and I will answer them all at the end. So I've got the chat turned off. I don't want you chatting. I want you focusing on this really important information. So just as everyone's coming into the room, I think we can get started now. So welcome. I am going to be talking today about the way business owners can really do a hatchet job on their relationships. But you business owners are a special breed. And most people don't do this. It takes a special kind of person to be an entrepreneur to run a business. So, what works for you so well in your businesses often is not is not the right thing to be doing in your relationships. And I'm going to be talking about exactly what that is and what you can do about it. So, any questions you have as we go along, put them in the Q&A and I will come to them at the end. Now, first, quickly, before I start the webinar, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and how I came to be doing what I'm doing. So I've been working as a relationship coach for 5 years now. I am a certified Tony Robbins coach and a certified Relational Life Institute couples coach. But most importantly, to me anyway, this is a path I have walked myself. Here I am with my family, thanks to relationship coaching. My husband and I have been married 20 years, 20 years strong. But boy, before for the first 10 or 15 years of our marriage, I struggled a lot because I did not have these skills. And then add into that, when me and my husband both started our own businesses, that piled the pressure on. So we've learned firsthand the effect that the pressure of business can have on a relationship. We know only too well from bitter experience the business strengths that we both have can really work against us in our personal relationships. Luckily, I discovered this work and I went first doing this work and it transformed our relationship. My husband followed along and we've done this work together for many years now. So, the skills that are required to drive a business, that focus, that discipline that you have are powerful, but at home they can really backfire if you use them in the same way. You've got to flex these skills you have. Business needs performance. It needs you to put emotion aside and think logically. And home needs the opposite. Home is messy. Home needs you to be present. It doesn't always make sense, home, but you need to be present. You need to be part of a team. You need to be prioritizing connection. So this is not about working harder. This is not about having more time. It's just about knowing how to switch gears. And this is the name of the game. The goal isn't to have no conflict and everything to be perfect. It's to get good at repair. We are going through never-ending cycles of harmony, disharmony, and repair. You go through this cycle how many times on a car journey? Going on holiday, who know, we can all relate to that one. And we're going through this cycle in much bigger ways through our lifetimes. This cycle never ends. The only people not going through this cycle are in the graveyard. So welcome it in. Relationships aren't meant to be smooth. They're meant to go through this never-ending cycle. So we're going to be talking about how you do that today. And today I'm going to walk you through lots of false beliefs that we have about why the mistakes we make in our relationship and the false beliefs we have about what it takes to stop making these mistakes. Now, mistake number one is that your greatest strength at work is a disaster at home. There's a lot of good things you can take from work and apply, but you've got to switch them up. And what works in the business does not work at home. And the two most common problems that I see coming into my coaching, the business owners, they are one of two problems. And the first one I see is people who are very logical. They're very good at putting emotion aside and thinking logically, and it works very well for them in their businesses. And this client is said, the sort of thing this client is saying to me is, it's so simple. If my partner would just do this one thing, the problem would be solved. And I don't understand why they don't do it. That's the sort of thing my logical people are saying to me. And then the other really common problem I see is my doers, my get stuff done people. It's a superpower. They move at a high tempo. They're great at getting stuff done. And this person, a really common phrase I hear from this person is, if I don't do it, it won't get done. And they come into my coaching very resentful. My logic person comes in very frustrated about, it's so simple. I don't understand what the problem is. What's the big deal? Um, and my doer comes in very resentful. Why have I got to do everything? It's really unfair. And I'll give you some examples of this because it's always really helpful to see it, how it plays out in real time. One person I had coming in, one of my doers coming in to coaching with me, came in with a very hard and fast rule, which was if you say you're going to do it, do it. And boy, was this person good at saying they were going to do something and getting it done. And so they were very good at that. They applied this rule to everybody else. And this person was working with their partner. They were in a business with their partner. And this rule was creating havoc because there was an expectation that everybody else would meet her where she was at this very high tempo and get stuff done. And there was an expectation there. And so with the partner's saying yes, agreeing to doing stuff, and then to keep them happy, and then it wasn't getting done, and the rule wasn't being met, and this was painful. And the work we had to do together was understand why she had this rule. Where did this rule come from? And the rule came from, with my people who are doers, and with everything that we come into coaching with, you're doing this because of experiences you've had previously in your past growing up. You've either been rewarded for this behavior or you've learned these strategies. You've had to learn these strategies. And for this person, she'd had people who'd let her down. She had learned quick. You can't rely on people, and you're going to have to do it yourself. And out of that comes the superpower, this wonderful thing about you. It's such a brilliant thing about you, but it's it will work against you when you're not in control of it. Your greatest strength becomes your greatest weakness when it gets out of control. And so for this client, the rule, if you say you're going to do it, was weeding out this kind of person from her life because she wasn't going to deal with that anymore. She said, I don't want to be around that. I want to be around people who do what they say they're going to do. I want to be around people who I can rely on. Now, and it all makes sense, doesn't it? It all seems really reasonable. However, the rule has been forged, the rule has been created from the belief people let you down. And so if you believe people let you down, then you have to have you have to have rules like this. You have to have rigid, hard rules like this. that protect you. And if you believe people let you down, then you go around looking for evidence of anyone letting you down. So that means you test people with a rule like this. If you say you're going to do it, do it. And you're testing and you're actually looking for evidence of where people let you down. And then you create, you repeat your experiences. So by having this hard and fast rule that was very painful if it was broken, and it then became very high stakes, this person was creating an experience where the partner was scared to say, no, I'm not going to do it, or I don't want to do it. They would just say, yes, I will do it to keep their partner happy because they could sense how important it was. So the partner wasn't speaking their mind, and that's something they were going to have to work on. But they would just agree to keep her happy, and then it wouldn't get done. And then the rule gets broken, and then you can say, see, people let you down. So this is the layering of it all, and this is where your superpower in business, because it's probably worked very well in business, you cutting out the dodgy clients and the dodgy business. You don't want to be doing business deals with people who let you down. It's not good business, is it? But in your relationship, this this was working against her, and this very hard and fast rule, there wasn't much negotiation in this, there wasn't much partnership in this. My doers really struggle to be in partnership because they're doing as a form of emotional management. I got to get it all done because that's how I feel okay. That's how I stay safe. Because if I don't do it, someone else will let me down. Or maybe you've been rewarded for it. I'm one of those people who gets it all done. I'm a problem solver. I get it all. I move at high tempo. We're rewarded for that. We're rewarded by society. We're rewarded maybe growing up, we were rewarded for it. So it becomes an identity. And it's a barrier to intimacy and connection. Now, my logic people, my black and white people, those people, how that plays out is I had a client who was just moved and it was very good at putting emotion aside and thinking logically, could process quickly, take immediate action. Great when you're running a business, great if you're running a tech company. Yes, perfect. It's not perfect at all in your relationships. The ability to pause and just be present, maybe it doesn't make any sense to you what's being presented to you in a messy family dynamic. It doesn't need to make any sense. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to solve it. You don't need to move on. You need to just be in there with your partner, with your kids, whoever it is. You just need to be in there. Maybe they just need to feel you there, you care. Maybe you don't understand. It doesn't matter, but you're there and you want to know and you want to hear it. What was difficult? Why is it difficult? What are you scared about? Even if it makes no sense, this is what we want from people. An example of how this shows up in my coaching is I had a client and I was working with them, um, and I pointed out to them that their partner was doing all the childcare. Their partner was doing all the drop-offs and pickups. And I asked, why is that? Why is your partner doing everything? Why aren't you doing anything? And this person immediately saw the problem in that. Okay, yeah, immediately. Okay, oh, I can see that's not right. I should do something about that. I should take on a bit of the burden. Brilliant. But what they did is they got off the call and they immediately changed the childcare arrangements. They just went ahead and made the changes without consulting their partner. So they came in and decided, hey, this is what's happening. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick up and drop off these days. I'm changing my working hours. They're the boss. Great. They can do what they want. I'm going to work from home these days. This is how it's happening. And their partner was so upset because, of course, they hadn't slowed down, stopped long enough to think, hey, I have noticed This system is unfair, it's unbalanced. How do you feel about it? Do you want me to help out? I would like to do some pick up and drop offs. They had just made the decision, moved super fast, great in business, not in your relationship. I had another client who described their communication style as black and white. They described, uh, we speak our minds. Everybody says how they're feeling and what they want. We make an agreement and we move on. And that was how they described their communication style. And for them, this is a great communication style. And when we dug into it a little bit further, for this person, this is obviously a great strategy at work. And especially great, very much more simple when you're the boss. So when you're the boss, and he was a very fair boss. Everybody gets a say. Says, their experience of the problem, what they were and weren't happy with, and then we move on. But the subtle subtext here is you're the boss. And while you are a fair boss and you let everyone speak their mind, at the end of the day, you get the last say. You're the boss. And so that does not translate into home life. In home life, you are a team member. And sure, elements of that communication style are very effective in at home, elements, but it's not that simple at home. Home is not black and white. And at home you don't get the final say. You don't so that was an example of it working very well at work and not at home. So these are the really common sorts of problems that I see. The problems in expectations and the problems in the way we're communicating and the clash of these different styles and then what we do about those clashes. Now, the next mistake we all make is believing that it will take a huge amount to change, that you'll have to completely change who you are. And the false belief that you have about this is, oh my God, I can't change. I've tried before, it won't work. It'll take too much to change. And that simply is not true. You do not need to have a personality transplant. You simply need to change your intention around how you communicate. So you need to change, and this is very normal. This is what we're all doing. You need to change what everybody does when they're communicating is we go to accuracy. And you've got to, and we go to proving a point and fighting to win. And all you need to do is take the side step to the side, to the left, and change your intention to communicate to connect. To connect. You love this person. You are on the same side as them. You both want the same thing. You're both fighting in the same team. So you don't need to have a personality transplant. You don't need to change. You just need to make some simple adjustments in the way, in your goal. You need to keep your eye on the prize of connecting and partnership. That's all you need to do. Now, for those of you who are here who are live with me on this webinar, I am going to be sharing a worksheet on this. I'm going to share with you 3 key winning strategies that I run through, that I use with all my clients. And they are very successful strategies. And I'm going to go through them with you now. But for those of you who are live here with me and you stay on till the end, I'm going to send you out the worksheet that I use with all of my clients. Now, the common mistake we make is going to accuracy. And a really simple way to think about this is you become a barrister. Your partner comes to you with a problem, you switch into barrister mode. You switch into, that's not accurate. It didn't happen that way. Yeah, you've got that wrong. Yeah, that bit's right. But then you did this, and last week you had done this to me anyway. You become a barrister litigating the facts in the court. All you need to do is switch into customer services mode. When you have a client come to you complaining, you don't say, well, sorry, you're not accurate at all. Actually, you've got that bit wrong and that bit wrong. And anyway, you did this to me last week anyway, so I don't care. Of course, you don't do that. You switch into, I am so sorry, you have had a negative experience. Please tell me all about it and let me know how I can put it right. And I would, and your partner is your most important client because you live with this person. It is in your interest for this person to be happy. Now, that's one strategy, and boy, is that a sidestep, that strategy. Tell me all about it. Let me see what I can do to put this right. But I promise that strategy will change your life. And then there's another strategy you can use, which is the feedback wheel. When you go to your partner and tell them something you're unhappy with, you share with them the fact of what happened. A fact is something you can prove in a court of law. A fact is you got up and left the room. Okay, that's a fact. Now, the story you told yourself about that is a story. If it's not a fact we can prove in a court of law. It's a story, it's an opinion. We don't need to debate your story. So you let your partner know this is the story I told myself about you getting up and leaving the room, and you tell them how it felt and what you needed. I'm going to give you, don't worry, I'm going to give you an example of this. I know this is a lot to take in. A situation I dealt with a client last week was an incident when two people, partners, had had a very long day and everybody's tired, and we all know how things can escalate much quicker when we're not feeling good. They'd had a very long day. They ate their dinner together, and then one partner got up and walked away from the table, leaving all the dirty dishes on the table. Now, their partner was very upset about this. Their partner turned to them. I cannot believe you're just going to walk off like this and leave all of this stuff on the table at this moment. And their partner said to them, I just feel completely disrespected. I just can't believe you would just walk off and leave me to deal with all of this. At this moment, this person could have become the customer services officer. I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. I did not mean to do that. Please tell me how I could put it right. And but they didn't, of course, they didn't do that. They'd had a really long day. They were absolutely tired. They became the barrister. What do you mean I'm disrespecting you? Of course I'm not disrespecting you. And then we can debate whether it's disrespectful to walk away from a table or not. Do you see? And it solves nothing. Now, that person had that option available to them. Their partner, who'd had the big emotional reaction, had the option of the feedback wheel available to them. So they could have fed back to their partner, hey, when you got up and walked away from the table, the story I told myself is that you're going to leave me to do all these dishes. And I felt really disrespected. And then help your partner to help you. Tell them what you need. I need you to not do that. I need you to tell me, hey, I'm just leaving now, but I will come back and do these dishes. That partner needed to explain, listen, I've been working all day long dealing with all this stuff. And then when you got up and walked away, and I thought, oh, great, I'm going to have to clear up the whole of dinner, it just became too much for me and I just cracked. And I just feel really disrespected. And what I need from you is not to just get up and walk away without saying anything. I need you to say if you're planning to do the dishes later. Yeah. So this is how it works. And if these two strategies we don't use them. And let's face it, this we are not perfect. We're not going to hit this stuff 100%. If we fail to use either of these two strategies, trust me, we we fail to use them. I know I've been doing this for years. I don't always use these strategies. This stuff goes out the window for me too. If we fail to use these strategies, strategy number three, a really important one, is a loving time out. When you are emotionally flooded, it is time to step away. When emotion is high, intelligence is low, rational thinking has gone out the window, and it's time to time it out. And how this looks is so the name of the game, I'm laughing here, but in all seriousness, the goal is to minimize and stop as soon as possible emotionally abusive, unhelpful, unproductive communication. Just stop it. Don't do it. Don't do it to each other. You love each other too much to go there. And this is about learning to have some self-control. This is too important. This is the most important relationship in your life. This is the kids are watching. This stuff passes down the generations. You got to walk away. You got to time out. And how you do that is you own it. You say, hey, I'm flooded. I'm not going to say anything nice right now. I love you too much to go there. And you say, I'm going to just take five. I'm going to take, really, it takes 20 minutes for our nervous systems to calm down. You never ever say, you're in a state, you're overwhelmed. Never ever say that. You always own it. And you say, hey, I'm going to have to step away here. And if your partner tries to stop you, you got to leave the house. You got to get out of there. With or without the kids, you got to get out of there. But make no odds about it. The name of the game here is you've got to end emotionally abusive, unhelpful, unproductive conversation. Those first two strategies, they will sidestep so much unnecessary drama. But this one here, this is your full stop. And these are really important. And and so yeah, I'm going to put those in a worksheet. I've got them in a worksheet and I'm going to send them to you. And that's what I use with all my clients. And for you who've taken the time to show up and stay on, I'm going to send all of that to you. Now, this one's really important. After all of that, this one's really important because the mistake we all make is thinking we do not have time for this. Now, I've just run through all those strategies and you're thinking, oh my God, how the hell am I supposed to do that? I haven't got time for that. I'm never going to remember that. Well, this one will inspire you to give them a go because conflict takes a hell of a lot of time up. It really is a time sucker. It's a real energy sucker. It takes you away from your business. It makes you less of a leader. It makes you less effective as a leader. It's messing with your parenting. It's messing with your health. It's sucking your time and energy. And connection takes much less time than conflict. So yes, maybe the first 10 times, or maybe even 100 times you do it, it might be time consuming, awkward and clunky and not work quite well. But on the other side of that is so much more time and energy. Uh, the ability to quickly say sorry and just completely quickly own it. Oh God, I'm so sorry that came out wrong. I'm really sorry. Can I start again? That is the most empowering and energizing and loving experience that you have. The ability to say, listen, I'm not my best self right now. I am being a prat and I am really sorry is is a wonderful experience when you can just laugh and say, oh God, I've done it again. that the connection that is available to you on the other side of all of this, of all the, the huffing and the puffing and the drama and the snapping and the frustration and the irritation and the sadness and the hurt that you feel is just, it can all go poof when you use these kind of strategies and you get good at using them. I want you to think about how scary it is to, if you're on the other end of the spectrum, to speak up and say, I don't like that. I don't like what you just said to me. The first 10 time outs that you pull will be very awkward. They probably will be more time consuming. But over time, when a partner learns this is a boundary and they're not going to get away with it, it's going to save you so much time. My experience of this is I was guilty of venting. I was guilty of unbridled expression. I had a temper. I was a hothead. And I used to vent and I used to complain and I used to be able to get away with it. And it was truly the most loving thing my partner did when he learnt these skills and learnt to say, hey, that's enough. Don't talk to me like that. It really was the most loving thing he could do for me because I didn't want to be behaving like this either. And when he put his boundaries in, it was very, very helpful for both of us. It was a big relief for me. Um, and you know, if you use this stuff and it's not working, then it's time to get into some professional help. It's time to get into couples therapy, or you work on your own. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that right now. Because the next secret is you don't need your partner to be involved. Many people, a major objection to doing this work is that people say, oh, my partner won't do it. My partner won't get on board with it. I want to do it, but my partner won't. And there is a secret no one tells us. One person can improve a relationship. We're doing a dance of respond and react in our relationships. It's like a reflex. We've been doing it for years. A look, a tone, you make your response. It's like a reflex, and you're off to the races. But it's like a reflex. You don't realize what you're doing. You don't understand the dance. But when one person does the work of getting into awareness of their thoughts and their feelings and their rules and their beliefs, and they change their responses and reactions, it changes the dance. Um, you know, it, whether you work together or as an individual, one person has to go first. One person has to take the first step. And my experience is my partner didn't do the work. I went off and got myself coached. I went into individual coaching. I started applying all these tools and techniques, and there's a lovely, lovely thing that happens when you change your responses and reactions. Your partner mirrors you. I mean, I was just talking with a client just before I got on this call. I was talking to a client about this. I described what was happening because he was experiencing the mirroring effect with his partner. He was changing the way he was thinking and feeling, responding, reacting, and she was starting to mirror him. And I described it as you're both in this long, dark tunnel. No one wants to be in the tunnel. It's dark. We don't know where we're going. We're fumbling around. You want to get out of this tunnel. The person who goes first, if they've got the flashlight, and you take your partner's hand and you say, hey, look, I've got a flashlight. I can see where I'm going. Come on, come with me. None of us want to be doing this stuff. Okay, none of us set out intentionally to behave this way. But when one of you goes first and starts using the tools, you get to find out, will your partner mirror you or not? So don't allow yourself to believe, well, I can't do it because my partner won't do it. You can get started right now. You can go first. And if your partner doesn't mirror you, that's really valuable information because then you've got a true picture of where you're relationship truly is at. And if they're not mirroring you, it's time to get into couples counseling, couples coaching. It's time to get in and work on it together. Sometimes just one person doing it is enough. And sometimes, maybe you're both on board and you go straight into couples coaching, but don't let the belief, oh, my partner won't do anything, stop you from doing this work. So, here is the big question for you. If you could solve all of these problems, if you could stop bringing business home, business mode home, if you could switch out of business mode, if you could use these strategies on a regular basis, and if you could believe that this work will save you time, not add more to your plate, it will save you time and energy, and you stop waiting around and saying, well, it's not fair. Why should I have to do it all? They've got all these problems. They should be doing it too. It's not fair. If you can't get them on this call, send them, if send them the replay, see what they think if they're not here on this call. If you just forgot all about that, because I promise you, when you are sitting in the result of a happy relationship, you do not care who went first. And if anything, for the person who does go first, it's a game changer. It's a hugely empowering experience. My life completely changed. The world opened up to me when I went first. I led the way for the entire family, not just my relationship, my wider family. Everybody was affected when I went first. It was a beautiful thing. So, if you truly believed you could solve all of these things, do you think you could? It's not about becoming a different person. It's not about years of therapy. It's just these few key shifts. Do you think you could change the way that you show up at home? So, that's what I have for you. That's the training. That's the mistakes everyone makes. That's all the false beliefs we've got about what it takes to solve this stuff. Now I'm going to talk to you about um, how I help people do it. I'm going to answer your questions. And then first of all, I will come to your questions. So if you haven't already, put your answers, put your questions into the Q&A right now. And just before I go to the Q&A, I'm going to tell you how you can work with me. So I have a 6-step process for working with people. This is through years of doing this work. I I have developed this course, and these are the key foundations that we need for building and maintaining healthy, happy relationships. So these are the relational skills that nobody teaches us. Okay, society teaches individualism, and we need to learn how to be relational. We are not taught this. Society is not set up for this. So these 6 classes of videos and worksheets and cheat sheets and templates and scripts, all the step-by-step guides you need to walk you along this path. So that's when people work with me, they get lifetime access to this course, to these 6 classes, and you have them on tap for you forever. So everyone gets that. Now, this is how I work here with couples and individuals. So these are all the details of how I work with people. Now, there is an email sitting in your inbox right now with all this information in it. If you already know which option is the right one for you and you're decided, go ahead and make your payment on the booking link. And once you've made that payment, we'll get your first session booked in. If you're not quite sure, then there is another link on that email to book a call with me, and I can talk it through with you and I can guide you. Okay, so those are the programs. Go to your email right now. It's all there on your email. All right. So any questions that you have, put them in the Q&A. I'll answer them now. Also go and check out the email. It's all there sitting in your inbox right now. Brilliant. Okay, let's get to the questions. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we're okay, we've got time. Now let's have a look. Right. How do you deal well, this is a great question. How do you deal with a situation when you've owned the situation, acknowledged you were wrong and said sorry, but it's not accepted? So, this is really interesting, isn't it? Because what is coming up here is that um, there is an expectation that if you say sorry, it should be accepted. And where is that written? That an apology should be accepted. And for whatever reason, this person isn't ready to accept an apology. It can be this is a very common this is a very common problem when someone is very hurt. Um, when I'm working with people, and someone realizes that the way they've behaved is not the right, is wrong. That and they start to see it and they start apologizing. It can be very difficult for the person on the other end to accept that apology because if they accept that apology, then they have to start working on it. Then they have to start moving forward, and that can be quite scary to do. So there's that. Accepting an apology and moving on is scary. Then there's also the old, you're only saying sorry because I told you to say sorry, which is such an own goal because it's um you never tell me that you love me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. It means nothing because I've had to say it. And this is the own goal. It's like I teach people, help your partner to help you. I need you to tell me that you love me more. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love you. Well, and it's like, accept it. You've told them what you need. When they do it, accept it, allow it in, say thank you. So if you want to book a call with me and talk it through, I'm more than happy to. But I would um, have a think about your intentions around why you're saying sorry. And are you saying sorry to, check in with yourself. Why are you saying sorry? What's behind your saying? Are you truly sorry? Yeah, that's a really good point. Even from childhood at school, for example, a teacher will request that you say sorry and it becomes the norm and passed on for childhood into adulthood. Yeah, that command or insincere sorries. And then what we get into is when things get really bad is we get into defensive listening and we're not listening to each other. We're just scanning each other for where there's any blame in the communication. So I'm not actually hearing what you're saying. I've become the barrister and I'm scanning you for that bit's wrong. No, you got it wrong. So, yeah, insincere apologies and just check, and if it's not been accepted, ask, what do you need from me? What is it that tell me what you need from me, please. I want to know. I want to repair. That's a really good question. But yeah, insincere sorries. I mean, it's passive aggressive, really, isn't it? Okay, so how do I stop snapping at my partner when I'm stressed from work? It feels automatic. Okay, the honest truth is it's not automatic, and you've got to work on it. Yeah, it's not automatic. That's a story that you're telling yourself. And you've got to stop it. You got to do the work to understand the consequences if you don't stop. I'm there with you. I have been there. You know, grandiose behavior This is unbridled self-expression, self-righteousness, venting frustration, anger. The problem with this behavior is it feels great. It's great to just go, "Ugh, for God's sake," or to just like be unbridled and not be and not be contained. And not, if you think about it, you'd never do that to a stranger in the street or a work colleague. Yeah, we never behave like that. We've got self-control there, but that all goes out the window with the most important person in our life. So the first thing you've got to do is stop telling yourself it's automatic. It is not. And you've got to think about the consequences if you don't stop. This is the most important person in your life. So this is about, why am I snapping? What am I stressed about? Are there other areas of life that I'm stressed at? This is a big one for business owners. Stress levels are off the chart with business owners, and this is a big issue. So I would say to you, the first thing you've got to do, it's not automatic. This is not automatic. Don't tell yourself that. Own your behavior. Okay, so what if I make these changes, but my partner doesn't notice? Oh boy, that's a great one. And that's a really common one. So what if I make these changes is saying to me, you haven't tried. So I would say try and find out. But what I do support my clients with is, if you are working as an individual, you'll be going hell, most people, they fall in love with this work. You go hell for leather doing this stuff. That's a killer. Your partner doesn't even notice. This is not, we're not going to do this for a couple of weeks and everything's fine. You're in this for the long term. I always say, give it 90 days, see where you're at the end of 90 days. But, we go through various stages. First of all, they don't notice. Then they start uh, taking the piss out of you, maybe finding it funny, or the other one is they start testing you and they up the ante, and they, behavior gets more extreme. I would say just give it a go, find out. The benefit to you of doing this work is huge. The benefit to you, regardless of whether your relationship changes or not, is huge. Um, how do I know when it's time to push for change versus when to let something go? Well, how much do you want it? How much do you want to fight for this? Pushing for change is very scary, and make no odds about it. It is risky. It is risky to push for change. There may be negative consequences. So you are right to be worried about it. But, you know, if your relationship is not where you want it to be, you have an option. You can settle and accept it as it is. But if that's too painful, then it's time to push. I mean, walking away can feel like the easiest option in the moment, but there may well be some regret with it. I mean, one thing I always counsel my clients is, I always counsel them on the fact that if you give this a go, if you fight for this, or one thing you won't have to deal with is regret. You will be able to look back and know you did everything you could. Because if you don't try and you just walk away, you don't want to spend a lifetime in regret, do you? Okay. Um, oh wow, I love that. I love that. Someone sharing that they go somewhere, park up and cool down before they reach the front door. So I can leave the stress of the journey and work, and so my kids can run into my arms and begin our home day. That is beautiful. That is intentionally switching out of business mode, leaving business mode at the front door and walking in. I mean, and let's just take in how that will fuel when you are able to leave business at the front door and fuel up with connection with the family. boy, how do you show up in business the next day? And if anyone on this call is struggling to do that, let's have a chat. I can help you with that. This work will really help you. How do I talk about this without sounding like I'm criticizing? Use the feedback wheel. You talk about yourself. You talk about me, and what I am struggling. I am not feeling good. I want some help. Yeah, I want to do this. So that use the feedback wheel. Share this replay with your partner and say, do you want to give this a go with me? If they don't want to give it a go, then try the strategies that I talked about. You know, one really powerful strategy I try with clients is no complaining, no defending for 28 days. Give it a go. You're just stuck in a dance when if you can't talk to your partner without them feeling criticized, what you got to do is step out of that dynamic. Things are too sensitive. You're in a cycle of attack, defend. If they're feeling criticized, they're defending all the time and they're feeling attacked. What you can do is just completely change that dynamic by just stopping. Try it. No complaining, no defending for 28 days. Be the customer services officer for 28 days and see if it shifts you out of it. This is not about you taking the blame for everything forever. It's about changing the dynamic so we can get into healthy, wise adult communication. Yeah. So that we don't revert to those teenagers who learn all those unhealthy habits. And those teenagers come along when we're tired and when we're stressed and they take the wheel. Yeah. And often those teenage strategies work very well. For my doers and my logisticians, it's working very well for them. People struggle to let go of this stuff. And you don't need to let go of it. You just need to flex it in the family home. That's all. So, have we got any more questions? They were such brilliant questions. I'm so glad that people asked all those questions. Have we got any more? Well, if you can reach out to me at any time via email, any questions, right now, your next step is to check your inbox. If this has resonated for you, what I have been talking about, if you are dealing with these issues, I can help you. Just go ahead, go to your inbox right now and check out that email and get started on this right now, or book a call with me if you're not quite sure which option's right for you. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's the training. Unless there's any more questions, let's have a look. No more questions. Okay, it looks like we're done. So there it is. I hope that was helpful for you. As I said, that email is waiting in your inbox right now. And thank you so much for coming.